3, 2, 1. All right, we are live on YouTube, which means we are good to go for the Crosstown Shootout live spaces. I already have a call in here, which means we'll just go ahead and get going. Anybody that calls in, I'm gonna kind of do this a little bit differently. I want to leave this forum open here, right? Like usually people call in, they hop off, they hop in, they hop off. If people want to hop in and just keep talking throughout this, go ahead, be my guest. Steve Maurer, you are one of the parts of Viva La Cats. You're here on the Cincinnati side. Steve, unmute yourself. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, winners go first, so I'm happy to be on.
Oh, no, Steve. Starting off hot. What's going on, man? How are you?
Everything's good. I'm just enjoying a nice Cincy Light with a lime in it, and just ready to hear the fever of the other fan base in Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, let's start it off here. Give me your thoughts on where everything is right now with Cincinnati. Give me your thoughts on the last couple of weeks and what your thoughts are going into this game.
We're talking basketball. Okay. Yeah, the basketball team's not been doing, the most hot recently. Paul, I did want to mention that you and I, where did we see each other this summer?
We saw each other in Hilton Head.
And maybe next summer, if we travel there, we might see a certain coach in this game there as well.
Maybe.
Thought that was an interesting talking point there. I'll be honest, man. It would be great to win, but it's been weird that obviously we have not won there since the first game at the building, and I know like Xavier fans like to remind me of that, but it felt strange because without the EMU loss, like it felt like we definitely had a better team than Xavier this year, but it seems like the momentum shifted over the last 2 weeks, and it's just I don't know. Like, obviously the line's already out. Xavier's a 1.5 point favorite when it opened. I haven't checked recently, but it's just crazy to think about, man. It's just crazy that we've gotten to this point that, he's on the hot seat already, losing a bye game. Not great. But if he could win this one, man, it would definitely shut people up in this fan base for at least a few more weeks until conference play starts.
Yeah, it actually, I'm looking at it right now. Xavier is -1.5, and it's actually juiced to Xavier, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought that might get bet down toward a pick'em, and it's actually juiced up to Xavier. So Xavier at -1.5. I'm not surprised by that. It was funny. I was actually on with Neil Meyer earlier today doing the Believe show for him, and he asked me to predict the line. And I said -1.5, and the line came out live while we were doing the show. I got to go back and see if I can find a clip there. Yeah, spot on there. I said a mid 140s and -1.5 to Xavier, and that's exactly what it was. Xavier, a slight favorite in this game, and a crazy thing about all that is just I really thought going into the season that we'd be sitting here the night before the Crosstown Shootout, and it would probably be Cincinnati by 4 or 5 on the gambling line, and if you're not a big gambler, like that's a fairly significant line in the Crosstown Shootout to be a 4 or 5 point road favorite.
Yeah, as the road team for sure.
Yeah, like that would be a huge deal if that's what Cincinnati had come into Cintas as tomorrow. But like going into the season, that's kind of where I expected it, and now here we are the night before, 23 hours away from tip off, and you're sitting here as Xavier -1.5. Where's your confidence in that, Steve? What would you take going into this game?
I would definitely take Cincinnati and the money line there, because to me the thing is, it's about how well Cincinnati comes into this game. They've definitely played poorly, in a couple different games this year, and they've not played with the same confidence that you'd like to see. And obviously, you guys are going to freeze the rims a little bit tonight, so it's going to be a little bit colder for the Bearcats shooting on each side. It's strategic how that happens, but I think the thing it really comes down to me is that Cincinnati. I was listening to the rebound rundown earlier this week, and Cincinnati needs to really exploit the post presence of that Xavier doesn't have. I know that's not really the game that Cincinnati's played with over the first couple weeks so far, especially without Jalen Haynes. But you got a guy like Mustafa Cham who's 7'1", 7'2", and you need to use him as much as you can, because Xavier doesn't really have that post presence. And if you're going to be able to open up that inside game, that'll just get you easy open shots on the perimeter, and obviously you need to make those. But it feels different this year because obviously both teams are probably a little bit down from what they would like to be. There's definitely been some higher points in this rivalry, but I don't know, man. It definitely, I think it's better to honestly be the betting underdog in this game, just because you come in with that chip on your shoulder, come in believing like, hey, even our own fan base doesn't believe in us, but I still think the Cats can come in and win. I know, obviously, you guys are going to tell me that you haven't won there since, but Paul, I remember you saying last year that until Cincinnati wins, you were going to pick Xavier, and you know what happened last year?
Yeah.
Cincinnati won. So I
Yeah.
think this is going to be a start of a little run for Cincinnati. Get that monkey off their back.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was thinking back to that game last year when I was making my picks this week, and I went on. I said my pick for the week was Xavier 72-65. I think that's what I've stuck with on all the shows. I think I did the car wash yesterday. I think I did 6 shows yesterday, and eventually you got to just put your flag in the sand and stick with a prediction. And that's what I said. And I think if this game trends toward a lower scoring game, I think it'll favor Xavier just because I think Xavier would be able to find the shots that they need. And, Cincinnati's going to try to muck this game up defensively. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country. And if they can figure it out offensively, they have the talent to win this game by double digits, quite honestly. But I think the reason a lot of people would pick Xavier to win this game is just one, because they've looked better in the last couple of weeks. And, I think the other thing, too, that I've made the point of a few times here, I think it's actually a good thing for Cincinnati that they're going on the road in this game. I think Fifth Third's kind of been a house of horrors for Cincinnati over the last 2 weeks. I don't know how many people, I'm sure I'm looking at the chat right now. There are a lot of Xavier fans listening. There's a healthy UC contingent in here, I think, but there's a lot of Xavier fans listening. And if you haven't watched any of Cincinnati this year, but quite honestly, at home they've struggled the last couple of weeks. They do have the win over Dayton, but that win over Tarleton, the score wasn't totally indicative of how that game went. The win a couple of weeks ago, or the loss rather to Eastern Michigan, obviously wasn't great. So I think honestly, Steve, to go on the road and play in a different environment, it might not be the worst thing for Cincinnati.
Well, that, and then the big thing about the end of the Louisville game and then the Eastern Michigan game is that they were missing Bob Miller, and it does seem like he kind of is a big boost to their offense, and he's able to really help them stir that drink, move the things forward, and when they get out in transition, that's like an imposing figure to have.
You guys have been taking some. You want to stand up for yourself, Steve? You've been taking some heat this week. You think this is any different? You think it's different than it is in years past? That's fair. I will say if any Xavier fans, I've seen a lot of downvotes, but I'm not seeing anybody call in. If anybody wants to call in here, we're happy to put a couple people on the line. That's fine. Uh, I'm seeing somebody on YouTube say can't hear the caller anymore. I'll try and turn up the volume there. Steve, let me ask you this: what's your confidence level 1 to 10 going into this? Sure. Yeah. BMAC, go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call. I'd say 2 weeks ago, I was devastated about this game coming up because I thought we had our worst team of all time and we were going to lose our 20-year win streak, 20-year plus win streak at home. But now I have zero doubt we're going to win this game. I'm not surprised we're favored. UC has not looked good the last few weeks. Xavier has looked much better. I feel a great game from 3 coming. And I don't think it's talked enough about how long it's been since UC won at Xavier. And I saw a thing on Instagram about, some of the things that were going on in the world the last time that UC won at Xavier. There was gas prices. Bush was in his first term of presidency. I think Usher, one of Usher's songs was #1 in the country, and it was a pretty funny post. So, no doubt. I have no doubt we're going to win this.
No doubt. There is no doubt in your mind. No doubt.
No doubt.
Okay.
UC hasn't won back-to-back shootouts since I think it was 95, 96.
Yeah, 96.
And y'all say we talk about the past a lot.
Yeah, we talk about the past we can remember. UC fans talk about the past that their parents can.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
1-0.
My parents weren't alive. I'm about to turn 40, and my parents weren't even alive the last time that UC won a national championship that everybody likes to talk about.
Has Xavier ever played in a national championship?
Don't remember. Can't remember.
Justin, Justin, go ahead. I see you, Justin. Go ahead.
I was just wondering how many Final Fours this team.
Oh, come on. Can we at least be original here? Like, you can come in. I don't like you come in here. That's fine. That's what this space is for. There's a lot of things you can go at, but the Final Fours, I mean, come on. We can't be arguing Final Fours here. I mean, it was the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Xavier made the NIT Final Four a couple years ago. That's pretty good.
NIT, you put some respect on the NIT champions in 2022.
When we won the NIT in the 50s, that was the bigger tournament of the time and the harder one to win. So I've chalked that one up as a national championship.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So do you chalk the NIT championship from a couple years ago up as another one?
No, that one I like to pretend like didn't happen. But the one from the 50s, that's the one.
Okay. All right. Justin, give me your thoughts on the game tomorrow.
Overall, definitely excited for it. I think one of the biggest things when we look at this game, obviously everybody's already said, I think we know what the record is in Cintas. It definitely makes things difficult. It's not ever an easy environment. It's not something that I think that we have had a good grasp of trying to. There's something that just actually wrong with this team when they go into Cintas and they can't figure out enough to win. But I think Xavier can be got this year. It really just comes down to whether or not the Bearcats' offense is actually going to hit its stride. The problem is when you're as bad of an offense as we've been this year, definitely does not instill any confidence. But there's a little bit of a weak spot there this year, and I feel good about this game going into Cintas in a way that I haven't in a while. But to the same effect, it definitely feels like one of those, not a trap game, but a trap game. It's one of those situations for Wes where he can't lose, and because of that, it feels like he probably would.
Okay, let me ask you this question, and Justin or Steve, you guys can answer this because I've said this a couple of times on shows this week. I actually don't think I'm going to zag where everybody has zigged this entire week, or zigged where everybody zagged. I don't know how you want to say that. Either way, I'm gonna kind of play the devil's advocate here. That I actually don't think this game is as important for Wes as a lot of people are saying. Only because, for one simple reason, no matter what happens tomorrow night, you still have to make the NCAA tournament if you're Wes, right? Like that is the ultimate goal here. And yeah, you might lose more favor than you already have with the fan base if you don't win on Friday night. But like, think about last year. Last year, you built up so much goodwill. You had a great non-conference. You were one of the best teams in the country by KenPom. Your top 10 team in the country by KenPom going into the shootout, right? Like everything is going Cincinnati's way. You win the shootout. It looks like gravy. Then you slide in the beginning of Big 12 play. You don't make the NCAA tournament, and boom, all that goodwill is gone. If that same thing happens here, you still have to make the tournament, and it kind of just pushes that. It kind of kicks the can down the road. You guys agree with that or not?
Here's my thing. I'm just going to add this real quick. Sorry, Steve. We talked about this yesterday with Cap, actually, funnily enough. I think the thing is, if Wes loses this game, look at how much that's going to affect your non-conference record. It's gonna add to it. And then you still have a game against Clemson. You still have a game against Georgia. Do you get both of those if you win this game? Maybe. If you lose this game, are you going to get both or split those? I don't know. And that's the thing is your non-conference is 100% going to matter when you get to March because they're not going to win 12 games in the Big 12. They might not even win 11. But if they win 10 games, they might need this game to get in. And I think that this game is still going to be one of those determining factors for March. So I absolutely think it's still a must-have for Wes, no matter where you want to look at it, because unless he does some unthinkable thing and beats Houston and beats Tech and beats BYU and all these other teams that are probably going to kick our ass, I don't see how he doesn't get in without getting this one on the board. You're going to need to win at the end of the season.
So you think this is the type of game that makes or breaks whether Cincinnati makes the NCAA tournament or not?
It's going to matter. Here's the thing: is if what Torvik has projected Xavier to be pans out, and if they're a 15-16 team, if they go about 500, it's going to be a game that's not, I guess maybe be a Q2 at the end of the season. Q1, it depends on where they finish if they're in the top 75, but that's kind of one of those things that I'm concerned about, because if this ends up being a Q2 loss, that's going to be tough. If it ends up being a Q1, maybe not as bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Give me, we already kind of heard it from Steve. Justin, give me your keys for tomorrow. What do you think?
I think the biggest thing for the Bearcats is you've been showing that you want to live or die by the three, and you're going to continue to shoot it, whether or not you're making anything happen. You got to make the threes. And I think the biggest thing is you have to actually use your bigs down low, and you have to get more points in the paint. You got to rebound well, but you have to get more points in the paint, and you got to win there, because I think that's the thing that I think this program has done really well over the past few years, and especially in this game. And it just doesn't really seem like we're utilizing these guys. I think some of our guys have that skill set, but they don't focus on it. And it's one of those things that in this game, boards matter. They matter a lot. And, playing tough down low really matters. I think you're going to have to be able to win that battle in order to win this game. And like you said earlier, Paul, if you get to the point in this game where it comes down to the bonus or it gets really tight at the end, those free throws are going to matter. Those, quick little twos are going to matter, and you have to be able to, post somebody up. And if you can't back them down in the paint, you're going to get bullied in this game. You're going to get run out of that gym.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody. I'm with you in a lot of that. The only thing is, I don't see a scenario where tomorrow is a blowout of a game. I really don't. Maybe, honestly, I don't know if I see Xavier winning this game by 15. I could see Cincinnati overwhelming Xavier inside and stretching it out in the last, 7 or 8 minutes. But I think this game tomorrow is going to be pretty tight, because there's going to be a lot of nerves on both sides. Xavier hasn't played in a crowd yet this year like this. This is the first high major game that Xavier's played at Cintas this year. So it's going to be a new environment for some of these guys, at least inside Cintas. On the Cincinnati side, they haven't played a true road game yet. Sure, they played down at Heritage and it was overwhelmingly Louisville, but it was still a neutral game. There were a lot of Cincinnati fans there. I think the start of this game, I think the first 8 minutes, if either one of these teams digs themselves in a hole in the first 8 minutes and they have to dig themselves out for the last 30, that's going to be a tall task for either team.
Well, Paul, I was going to say, how many times have you seen Cincinnati go into Cintas and just dig themselves an early 9-point hole and then have to fight back from that all the time? I understand, obviously, different teams, different coaches, different players, but it just seems like that thing oh yeah, all right, we're already down 9 and Xavier's hit a couple early threes. But what I was going to ask you, Paul, is that has Xavier played a defense as highly rated as Cincinnati's? I don't think people are talking about enough that while Cincinnati obviously does not have a very highly rated offense on KenPom, they have a top 10 defense on KenPom.
Yeah, I mean, they're fourth. They're the fourth most efficient defense in the country. I'm trying to think the last time Xavier would have played a defense that good.
They
certainly not this year,
right?
2 years ago played Houston. Maybe that would have been it. I'm trying to remember if like a UConn team would have been quite that high in the last couple of years, maybe. But man, I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Well, and that's the thing to me is that, no matter if our offense is being really poor, the defense is just going to be there. And we have long and lanky guys in the passing lanes to be able to like cut down on those passes and get turnovers and then get the run out and transition. And that's kind of the thing to me where, like you said, Paul, in the first 9-10 minutes, if Cincinnati's able to get a couple turnovers, get a couple easy buckets on transition and just get, kind of get rolling and stay within the game and not have to come back from a big deficit, that would be huge for them.
All right, goes to Mike Saunders. Go ahead.
Yo, I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying this just because I'm a Bearcats fan, but if I'm a Xavier fan, I'm hitting the panic button.
Okay, talk to me.
Rick's son has given up 70 to Lemoyne. He's given up 70 to St. Francis. He's given up 80 to, Santa Clara. And now you got to go against the top 3 defense in the Big 12. And Roddy, if you're going to rely on Roddy Anderson just to chuck up threes, I mean, they're cooked.
They're not going to rely on that though tomorrow. They're not going to rely like that's not the game plan tomorrow. I mean, they moved All Right into the starting point guard spot for a large reason to be more efficient offensively. So I don't think they're going to fall into that. I think you're exactly right though defensively that's where, you got to hope that you don't run into issues. But yeah, I mean, I like some of that, like with St. Francis was kind of a little bit at the end. Santa Clara is a top 50 team. So, that's a really good team. Their only loss is a 1-point loss to St. Louis. They beat McNeese, they beat Xavier. I know that's not saying a ton, but like, hey, 19. How about that? 19. But I mean, I think there was something, what I will say is, I think something between Santa Clara and then that Friday against Iowa, which again, I know that Iowa loss was a blowout loss, but I think that loss, something happened between Santa Clara and Iowa where the coaching staff went back to the drawing board and figured out, okay, we're going to have to shift around this starting lineup for Xavier. They made some big changes, right? All Right takes over at the point. Jovan Milicevic is now starting at the 5. They can stretch things out. They can shoot at all 5 positions. And you think about like Malik Messina Moore is a career 40% three-point shooter. He's shooting 27% this year. So if you want to say a guy that's shooting maybe above their average, like a Trey Carroll who's shot pretty well so far this year from 3, I would expect Trey to have a good game tomorrow. But let's just say he has a cold night. Maybe a guy like Malik Messina Moore who has not had a great season, honestly, plays below his average. Go ahead.
Like Roddy Anderson, All Right, and Trey Carroll. I mean, tomorrow they're just going to make threes, like especially that even with contested and good defense, you're just going to have to live with. So I think if we put them into a situation like that where we force them into threes, I think it's going to be a double-digit win for the Bearcats, no doubt.
Double-digit win. So but if this comes down to a 3-point shooting contest that both teams have found themselves into, like probably more than they would have liked coming into the year, you think a 3-point shooting contest favors Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
They just haven't hit them yet. They're just saving them up for this game.
Okay. All right.
If there's one game to hit them, it's going to be this one.
I mean, all right. I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, I mean, maybe like Cincinnati hasn't made 10 threes in a Crosstown Shootout since 2006, right?
We're winning by 11 tomorrow. We're winning by 11.
Okay.
I saw into the future. I looked into my mirror and I was like, goes to Mike Saunders. We are winning by 11 tomorrow.
Zach Fremantle's goatee. Go ahead.
Xavier only shoots 7% better than you see from 3, but
Paul, just wanted to take a second here, remind everybody Zach Fremantle went 5-1 against UC in his career. Secondly, question: Do we know anything about Jizzle James going into this game, or is that all just
no?
He's not playing
classes.
He's enrolled at school, but he's not playing in the game. He's not a part of the team.
That guy who said that on Twitter should get banned. With all due respect.
Yeah, Jizzle James is not part of Cincinnati, right? As part of the team, rather. I mean, he's enrolled in classes, but he's not playing in the game tomorrow.
And it definitely seems like that. Even if there were a potential that he could come back at some point, it probably wouldn't be until next year, anyways.
Yeah, like
Is he technically a red shirt at this point then? Like, what do we know the official status?
Figure it out later. I don't really think he's not like on the team, and I guess they'll just figure it out later, do something. But I don't really think he has a status right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, what else you got for me? Anything? Nothing? He's done.
No.
All right.
I think it's going to be close for sure. I think when it gets into that 3-point battle, I kind of disagree with what we were just talking about. I think we have a couple guys that might prevail there. All in all, it's going to be close. Really could go either side, coin flip at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think it's because I think Cincinnati has some clear advantages, but also if they play tight offensively and they don't play to their strengths tomorrow, which like can they adjust enough in 3 days off in between Tarleton and like here I guess here's the question, and I can ask you guys this on the Cincinnati side. Like, do you guys think that the last 3 games, right, which you could say is an outlier, because I think that I think the game against Louisville, like that first half, Cincinnati's looking great. They're up. They're not playing great offensively, but their defense is holding them in it. And then in the second half, Louisville, one of the best offensive teams in the country, just takes charge of the game. Do you think the last 3 games for Cincinnati are an outlier, or do you think the first 4 games of the season are an outlier for Cincinnati?
I do think the last 3 games are a little bit more of the outlier, and I really think it's Baba because, I mean, you even heard Pat Kelsey postgame talk about it, just about how much he impacted that, and Wes was obviously upset that Baba was not able to play. I'm not going to say like I'm not going to say like he's our no doubt best player, but man, he's a difference maker when he's on the floor. So
I disagree.
Like, I definitely think the concerns are valid from the last 3 games, and I got to go on this, but I think Baba being there and being able to just have a little bit more of a veteran presence and kind of calm them down will be huge for tomorrow night.
If you don't think, all right, before you go, Steven, I appreciate you being here. If you don't think that Baba Miller is the best player, who do you think is the best player? Because I think Baba Miller is the best player.
Day-Day is our best player. I think so, at least. He's shooting 50% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. He's shooting almost 40% from the field. Lockdown defender, lockdown Javon Bennett. He's like kind of the heart and soul guy too.
Well, I totally agree with that. I just think if we were on a playground and I had the choice of Cincinnati's team, who was I going to pick first? I'm picking Baba Miller. And to me, that's the best. Like, that's how I think of best player. But if you're talking consistency, stabilizing what needs to happen, I love watching Day-Day Thomas play. And I think you're right with that. Just I guess depends on how you want to look at it. All right. Anything else, Steve, before you leave?
Nope. That's all. Go Bearcats, baby.
All right. I'll see you, Steve.
See you in Hilton Head, Paul.
Yeah, I'll see you in Hilton Head next summer. All right. If anybody that's a speaker right now, like you can feel free if there's anything else you guys want to say. I know I've kind of been bouncing all over the place. Anybody that's speaking right now, or anybody that's not in line right now, if you want to add yourself to the queue, go ahead. But anybody else that's on right now, have anything they want to say?
I also got to bounce, but I just want to say thanks for having us on, Paul, and go Bearcats. Hopefully we get the first win in Cintas for like 20 years.
Are you going to be there, Justin?
No, I'm in Nashville, so.
Oh, okay. Enjoy Music City.
Up.
All right, see you, Justin.
See you, man.
All right. Again, if anybody's in here and wants to join this Spaces, we'll keep going as long as anybody wants to. B-Mac, go ahead.
Paul, I'm with you. If this gets into a 3-point shooting contest, definitely that favors Xavier. I mean, they're shooting 38-point-something%, and a quick look at UC's was 31-point-something. So I'm not sure how anybody on UC side would be comfortable with this game getting into a 3-point shooting contest. So
yeah, I mean,
totally.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's perimeter defense has been good. I wouldn't say it's been outstanding. Their interior defense is incredible, mostly because of their height and their length. I don't think their perimeter has been anything to write home about on either side, offensively or defensively. So I thought Rick made a good point when we were doing our preview show last night, talking about how many threes both of these teams are going to try to hit tomorrow. And if it comes down to the difference between, 12 and 10 or 11 and 9 threes, like that's not a big enough difference to say one team really had an advantage from the perimeter. But if it becomes a situation for Xavier, like the West Virginia game where Xavier hits 16 threes and West Virginia only hits 6, and that's going to be a total difference maker. And I almost wonder, I think what I've learned in doing this over the last 4 or 5 years and all these preview shows that I do and how many times we talk about the same talking points all week leading into a game. And then finally you roll the ball out there and something happens early where you think, oh man, I didn't even think about that. And of course, the storyline is something completely different than what you expected going in. We've definitely talked about UC's advantages on the interior, but like what if Xavier throws something out there like a zone, which I would expect them to play some sort of a zone at some point tomorrow. I would be shocked if they didn't. If they do, then if you're Xavier, you have to feel pretty good about Cincinnati. You know, of course, Cincinnati we just saw them hit 16 threes the other day, but if they don't, then what? Can Xavier step up and hit some contested threes like they did against West Virginia? And then it's a different story.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that none of us should forget is that no matter what advantages UC has over Xavier, they still have Wes Miller as their coach, which is the ultimate advantage for Xavier. So I think UC should just go ahead and sign him to a lifetime contract, and I think we'll be set for forward moving in this game.
And that was a question I wanted to ask as well for those UC folks that were on. Was questions about his future, their thoughts about his future and performance so far. But
well, what do you think? You're a UC fan. What do you think? You got any thoughts?
You mean me, Paul?
Yeah, I mean you.
No, I'm not a UC fan.
Wait, who's talking? Oh, I thought. Sorry. I saw that the wrong speaker icon was lighting up.
You're all good.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I didn't see who it was. Okay, well, I mean, if you want to share any thoughts.
Mike Saunders, do you have any?
Yeah, that's on my phone. That's who was popping up that was talking. Yeah, go ahead.
You're good.
Oh, no, yeah, this Wes Miller thing, John Cunningham doesn't have the guts to fire him.
So you think he'd have another year?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He's not going to
What would it take? What would it take then, do you think?
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, what do you think it would take then? Do you think it's another miss of, the NCAA tournament? Is it a early exit in the Big 12? What do you think it is?
Yeah, early exit in the Big 12 next year. He's gone.
Wow.
Fair.
Okay. I mean, I think Cincinnati has to make the NCAA tournament this year.
I do.
Really?
Too.
I mean,
I disagree. I think if we miss the tournament, I think he's still staying. John Cunningham, there's no way. There's zero possible chance.
Well, I don't want to say there's zero possible chance because
I'm exaggerating, but there's a good chance he probably is staying.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't be floored if so, but like at this point here's the thing. It's not just missing the tournament. It's the fact that the amount of money and resources that were put into this team, and quite honestly, how good I think this roster is. I'm not saying this is a 1-seed roster, but if you're Cincinnati, you have the 4th most efficient defense in the entire country, and the way they play defense is sustainable because of the talent and the size that you have. And so because of that, if you can just complement it with even me, I feel like every time I have this conversation, I feel like I'm talking about the flip side of the Bengals, where I feel like you have a world-class offense. And if you can I'm not talking about, the 85 Bears. If you can just throw something out there that's not a traffic cone, you're playing for the Super Bowl. Well, I'm not saying that Cincinnati's going to play for the national championship or challenge, a team like Purdue here. But what I'm saying is that if you can at least get something offensively, which they haven't really shown much of an ability to adjust here lately, but if you can and you can figure it out going into the Big 12, then it's totally different. I mean, Cincinnati's offense right now is 219th in the country. 219. This team is not built as a team that is 219th in the country. They are way better than that, but they haven't gotten enough out of them yet. Now, Baba Miller has been hurt, and that's certainly, they don't lose to Eastern Michigan. There's no excuse for losing to Eastern Michigan, but Cincinnati doesn't lose to Eastern Michigan if Baba Miller plays in that game. And the Tarleton State game, I think it was pretty clear he wasn't 100% yet. He had 7 turnovers in the first half. If he's 100% tomorrow night, he's a total game changer. So, anything else from you guys?
I think us beating Xavier last year definitely saved his job a little bit, and that gave him some job security. Sadly.
Who else would you want? I guess if we're going to play that game, who else would you want? Is there any name that comes to mind?
Literally anybody else.
I was going to say, are you talking free agents at this point, or anybody that's on a team that?
You could throw any name out there. I'm just purely getting a vibe check here.
Coach Krzyzewski.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Yeah, sure. I guess that is a name. I guess I did leave that door open. I guess I asked for that one. Sure. Yeah, you're right. All right. Anybody else? BMAC, anything? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot there. Anything?
I guess my final thought would be they should just bring Mick back. In that case.
Oh, please
bring him on back. I love to hate the UC coach, and I never thought I'd hate anybody as much as I hated Huggins until Mick Cronin came.
Mick Cronin. I saw a tweet earlier today talking about when, and I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it because I think the tweet was right. When did the Crosstown Shootout peak? And I'm not saying that it is. I'm not going to use the L word here, but I think it's certainly pretty objective that back in 2016 to 2018, when both teams were very competitive at the national level, right? And Cincinnati's a top 4 seed, and Xavier's a top 4 seed. You're making runs in the NCAA tournament, all of those things. And you also have 2 coaches that were, from GCL schools. You have players that had played at both schools for 4 years. Both teams had high-level players that knew what the rivalry was. Like those years, those 3 or 4 shootouts in there were some of the best that this rivalry has ever seen. And I don't think you take anything away from what tomorrow is going to feel like, because everybody wants to talk about it all week. But as soon as everybody sits down tomorrow night and the building's sold out and the energy is in there, everybody's going to forget about all of that. And both fan bases are going to be fired up, and none of that will matter. But I'm not going to say it's not fun though to think back on some of those shootouts in those days.
Yeah, when Mick tried to fight a college student, right?
Yeah, I was up in the press box for that, and I'll never forget looking down and seeing the commotion down by the tunnel and trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And I'm like, is Mick Cronin trying to go back into the handshake line for something? And then he got escorted out. Crazy scene.
I was very close to where Mick and UC would walk out in the tunnel in the lower level there for that game, and JP said something to Mick in the handshake line after Xavier was kind of celebrating, and a couple of the players were late to the handshake line, and Mick didn't want to wait any longer, so he left without continuing to shake hands, and so he didn't shake like the last couple, and JP was one of them, and that's when JP said something, and that's when Mick came back.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Paula, go ahead.
Paul, while nothing will ever match the Chris Mack post-game press conference from that game,
yes,
which is the all-time presser, maybe even better than the 2 Holloways zip them up. I might be a little sacrilegious for saying that. This rivalry peaked from November 1996 to December 1999 when Xavier beat Cincinnati twice, not once, but twice, when they were number 1 in the country, including in December of 99, when Cincinnati had Kenyon Martin, who was the number 1 overall draft pick in the NBA. While it's true that both teams were better later on, that's where the rivalry peaked, and that's where this rivalry totally changed, because up till that point, it had been all UC, and that's when kind of Xavier just put their stamp on it and said, no more.
Okay. So you're saying it peaked in the early 90s?
I'm saying that's when it was at
its best.
Its best. I mean, yeah, don't be wrong. Hating Mick was, but, and this is a little bit before my time too, but the Huggins hate, I mean, also too, there was the incident, I'm not sure what year it was, where Huggins and Gillen did not shake hands post game. And until the fight happened, that was like, both schools thought when Gillen and Huggins did not shake in the handshake line that the game was going to have to end because it got to be too much.
Mm.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Twitter in these days?
No.
There's so many moments from this rivalry over the years that, have been great all-time moments on Twitter. But if you think back to even those late 90s games or mid 2000s games before Twitter was really at its peak, man, oh man, yeah.
If you can go back, I don't know, on YouTube, I think on YouTube, the 99-2000, the second time when Xavier beat UC when they were number one, that was a big deal too, because I think that was the first time Dick Vitale called the shootout. Okay. And there was a point in the game where I was right at the end zone and saw this. Bob Huggins literally grabs Kenyon Martin by the front of his jersey and like drags him across the bench and is like yelling in his face. And Dickie V is like, oh, this is just some tough love from Huggins. And I'm sitting there watching this in the stands going, what is going on here? He just went off on him. It's cinema.
Paula, anything on tomorrow? Any thoughts?
I get what you're saying, that Cincinnati did not have its best player against Eastern Michigan. And I get that. At the same time, it's Eastern
Well,
Michigan.
I said that. I said there's no excuses for losing that game, but they would have won with him. But it's still not an excuse that you lose.
Right. So I think I feel a little bit better about Xavier's chances. I'm not sure what to think of this season for Xavier, right? I think we're still feeling it out. I do feel, so yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a little more interesting. I do feel like, though, you guys were talking about Wes Miller winning last year saved his job. Look, this game is super important to both schools, but I think that both schools have larger, or should have every year, larger goals than winning the shootout. That if this is what is saving or getting a coach fired from either program, that's a wild thought.
Yeah,
Paul.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, it's the turning point. I think now when we win tomorrow, we're going to win for like the foreseeable future.
Xavier or Cincinnati?
That's
UC.
It's a crazy take. Absolutely diabolical take.
Yeah, I don't know if tomorrow is the turning point. I guess the argument there is that you win at Cintas and then it goes back to Cincinnati. So then that becomes 3 in a, like if you want to think about it like that. But I don't know if I'm going to say like tomorrow is the game that flips the whole series. It could be, I guess, but like I don't think so. Either way,
flip the whole series or flip the season for Cincinnati.
I think
the whole series.
Well, because
not gonna agree for it if you're with me.
Like if you think about it, like maybe you win that, but if you don't make the NCAA tournament, and then does a new coach have to come in and try and win? Or does Wes find something here? Does he find lightning in a bottle tomorrow and win this game, and then that's what propels Cincinnati forward? I guess that is a big question that's going to be answered 23 hours from now.
Here's another reason why I think we're winning tomorrow. I don't think Rick's son really realizes what's at stake. I watched that the press conference with him, and he's just like, oh, like another game. He's like, oh, they're good, like this and that. And he's just like, I'm just preparing them the same way I would like any game. And like you can go around and say like, oh, like we're in their heads, or like if Wes Miller said that, like they'd be like, oh, we're in their heads. I'm sure like Bearcats fans, if Rick's son was like, oh, we're preparing more, like Bearcats fans would also be like, oh, we're in Rick's head. But like I feel like you kind of do have to prepare a little bit differently for a rivalry game. Like do you think
what a coach is saying publicly is not necessarily what's happening behind the scenes? We know this, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
But I still think just the way he brought about it himself, and like just the way he said it, I don't know.
I've thought about that because I kind of noticed the way the players I tried to be pretty attentive to how everybody was phrasing everything because everybody's so new. And, it's almost like, this game is very different for the fans and everything. But there's only one player that's going to take the court tomorrow that's played in this game. Day Thomas. That's it. He's the only player.
Paul, would you, like, if you were a coach, would you prepare for like a rivalry game differently from like a?
Yeah, no. I think I absolutely would. There's no doubt. But I'm trying to think, in this day and age where where you're trying not to overwhelm the players with too much, if maybe you're not trying to overblow things publicly, where you're trying to make things for 15 new players on your side and 15 new players on the other, or 14 new players on the other side, whatever it is, and you're trying not to make things bigger than they are, because as soon as the players walk out there, they're going to feel it. Immediately, they're going to feel it. And I think the biggest message that you need to deliver on both sides is that you can't let the game slip away in the first 8 minutes. The first 8 minutes, the game can't be over on either side. If it becomes, if it's 16-4 at the under 12 media timeout, either way, that's going to be really hard for a team to dig out of, just because of the style of play that both teams have. So, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for 30 new players to just try to compartmentalize things and then let their energy take them on Friday night, because it's different than if this was, Kilpatrick or Gary Clark or some of these guys that are, the history of on Xavier's side, Trayvon Blewett, JP McCura, Kenny Freeze, guys that have been here forever that know what the game is. Then at that point, you don't even really, it's almost like you don't even need to have the conversation anyway with them, because they already appreciate it. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing that you bring up, because I kind of noticed that on both sides as well.
Hey, Paul, can I ask a question? I haven't really been paying much attention to the media the last couple of days. Has anyone asked Isaiah Walker what his dad has told him about this rivalry?
Yeah.
I mean, his dad played in it. His dad knows what it's like.
Yeah, he actually talked a lot about it the other day at the pregame press conference. He said that he was asked about the game, and he just said that he went to a lot growing up. He said he's kind of taken it on himself to tell the rest of the team what this game is like. He's tried to impress upon the rest of the Xavier guys how important this game is to both the team, the fans, the city, all of that. He certainly understands it. It was funny. He was asked what his favorite memory was, and he said his favorite memory as a kid growing up, Paula, was Edmund Sumner's dunk in 2015. So that tells you where we are right now, and kind of the age. I mean, he would have been in what?
Well,
probably sixth grade or something like that. Maybe 7th or 8th grade at that point. So
right. Someone asked CapEx yesterday if that was the best moment in the shootout, and I said not even close. It's the Lenny Brown shot in '96. Like don't get me wrong, that Sumner dunk was amazing, but the Brown shot had so much more meaning. And the classic line, number 1 in the country, number 2 in your own city, which is one of the best lines ever spoken in Cincinnati broadcast sports history.
That's true.
With you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, and Tom's line.
So I think looking at this tomorrow, like Isaiah Walker, definitely it was a difference maker. Like mentally, right? Trying to tell these guys what this game means. And Roddy Anderson was there last year. He was redshirting, but he was in the building. And
shout out Roddy Anderson. He held the door open for me at the UDF, and he said, "You're welcome."
What was your order at UDF that night?
How'd you know it was at night? First of all, me and my friend were staying up late playing college.
Well, who goes to UDF during the day?
That's true. We were playing college football, and we were just going to pull an all-nighter. And
I didn't even have to ask.
Yeah, I got like 2 energy drinks, and then one of those like tornado hot dog things off that thing that's probably been sitting there for like 5 weeks.
What? No. You did not order a piece of meat off of the hot dog machine.
They're gas.
No chance.
They're gas.
Oh man, if anybody's a Seinfeld fan in here and they've seen the episode with Kramer going into the movie theater and getting one of those hot dogs, I'm scarred for life. I don't know if I could do that. You're telling me going into a UDF and getting one of those Rolly hot dogs is a good decision? That's no chance that's a good life decision.
When you're broken in college, you just gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Oh man. I don't know if I've ever been down that bad. A Rolly hot. Anyway, all right.
Paul,
God, you threw me off. Yeah, go ahead, B-Mac.
kind of talking about how coaches just like talk about publicly the importance of the game.
Yeah.
And, I think it'll be interesting to see how Patino evolves, over the years and after his first, because, I think everybody just assumes the coaches get it and know, but, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, obviously they've been involved in other rivalry games, but one of the things I loved about Chris Mack was how much he didn't try to downplay the game.
Yeah.
He embraced it. He embraced the rivalry and how important it was to the fans and made it important to himself and to the team. Obviously he had a unique perspective having been a player at Xavier. So he had that history and the assistant coach before he was the head coach. But, so I'll be interested to see that because, I feel like Mick Cronin took the opposite approach, and maybe that's because he was always losing to Xavier, perhaps. And, I think that's the wrong approach to take as a coach of either school for this game, is to downplay it or say it's like any other game or this or that. And I'm not saying that's what Patino was doing. I understood his comments about preparing the same way, but it'll be interesting to me to see if his answer changes in the future or the way he approaches it, because, I definitely embrace the coaches who embrace the game.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Mick an assistant under Huggins? Bob never took the game seriously. Bob never took the game seriously, so that's the reason Mick didn't.
Well, again, I think your natural reaction as a human when you don't do well at something is to kind of deflect, and Mick didn't do all that well. I mean, Huggins went 500 in the shootout, right? I mean, I think if you're winning every year, you probably take a different attitude to that than when you just are trying to get one off your back and win the game. But I think Richard Pitino, let me make it very clear. Richard Pitino understands the importance of this game. He understands what it means to this city. You can say what he wants to say publicly. Sure. I mean, but I'm telling you, he understands what this game means. And until you coach it or play in it or whatever, it's a very unique experience, but it's a big game environment. And it's so unique to this city, running into people all over the city when you're 3 miles away and you're going to the mall, you're going to dinner, you're doing all these things, you're overlapping and you're running into people of the opposing team. Like, you feel it. You feel it 365 days a year. You feel it in June, you feel it in July, you feel it in December when the game happens. And so I don't think that there's any worry on my end of an appreciation for this game. Now, the difference is on the players' end, the feel of the game in a big game environment. And I don't even necessarily mean the rivalry aspect of it, because Jovan and Phillip have played. I mean, Phillip played at Arizona for a couple of years. He played at the Pit. Jovan's played at the Pit. FAU went to a Final Four with Trey Carroll. Now, he didn't play on that FAU team in the NCAA tournament. He was part of the team, but he didn't play during the NCAA tournament run. But these guys have played in big time environments before. Maybe nothing like the Crosstown Shootout, but they've played in big time environments. And on the Cincinnati side, Bob Miller was on that. No, he wasn't. Maybe he was. I don't think he was on that FAU team. He may have been. But Day Thomas has played. This will be his third one. He's played at Cintas. He's played at Fifth Third. So I guess my biggest question mark on UC's side is, I think Sean Abayev presents a massive matchup problem if he plays as well as he can play. I mean, he's just a freshman. You saw him in the beginning of that Louisville game at Heritage Bank. I mean, he took 5 of Cincinnati's first 10 shots. He was chucking. And
I was going to say, if he pulls that little stun against Louisville like he did, or like he's going to do against Xavier, it's chalked.
I mean, I was at that game. He was firing. It was just every time he got the ball, he was putting it up.
It was out of the second half too. Like, he just, like, the second he got it, it was a horrible shot, and he just fully contested, just heaves it.
Yeah, and that's where I think Cincinnati has settled a lot this season for things. And maybe that's because they play tight. Maybe they get into certain spots and they feel like, oh, we're just going to take threes. But if they play within their game, it's a total matchup nightmare. But for Xavier, you can take advantage of that because that's the way Cincinnati's played over the last 3 games. Now, a couple of those games, they didn't have Bob Miller. I think he's the best player on the floor. So, yeah, I just there's so many different dynamics at play here. I don't know, man. I'm just fascinated by what's going to happen tomorrow because I don't know if I see Xavier winning this game in a blowout. I think I could see Xavier winning this game by like anywhere from like 4 to 8 points. I could certainly see Cincinnati kind of running away with this game at the end if they are playing inside and Xavier has no answer. I could see it being a game coming right down to the wire on the last possession. I mean, really, there are so many different ways this game can go. And the fact that we're sitting here, at 9:00 the night before the Crosstown Shootout with everybody in this space locked in on what's going to happen tomorrow. And we were sitting here before the season started thinking, if Cincinnati doesn't win, then it's a massive failure because they're going to be such runaway favorites. It's a credit to Xavier's coaching staff for getting them to this point. And now we're just going to have to roll the ball out there tomorrow and see what happens. Anybody that's a speaker right now, do you have anything else that you want to say? Or anybody that's not speaking, you want to call in, probably go for a little bit longer here if anybody has anything else that they want to say. I think I did 2 previews on Chatterbox. I've done 2 or 3 previews on the Rebound Rundown. I've done a preview with Rick. I've done Neil Meyer's show. We've been all over the place. Tons of preview content all over. I'll put it all in one tweet that you can check out. So plenty of content for you if you've missed anything here. Plus, this space will be available on replay, both here on Twitter and then on YouTube as well on the Rebound Rundown's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe down there. If you're watching on YouTube right now, go down and hit the subscribe button. But all right, I got another caller here. Brad, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? Not sure if this has already been covered, but do we think with the Xavier win, does Pitino pull a stunt at Dana's, put a tab down? I know Travis Steele was doing that in the past. Do you have any inklings to what maybe Richard would do with a win?
I don't. I do know he's you've seen it on Twitter. He loves social media. He loves utilizing Twitter as a promotional tool for the for the program, and obviously he's done a pretty good job with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier wins. I don't know if he's going to go to Dana's and drop $1,000, and that's going to be the ace up his sleeve. I don't know what he would do, but maybe he wouldn't do anything. He's talked a lot about just really trying to decompress after a game and move on to the next thing. But Xavier has a week between tomorrow and their next game, and maybe Xavier wins. Who knows? I have no idea though. I haven't talked to him about it.
He's a big vodka guy.
A big what?
Vodka guy.
Vodka. Oh, vodka. I was like, I didn't hear what you said. Vodka. Yeah. What could be the play tomorrow? I see somebody on YouTube chats in. Dana's was a big question of mine too. Yeah, I'd have to imagine Dana's is probably popping tomorrow on a Friday night with God, what an all-time sports weekend this is too. Looking at Saturday, college football championship weekend, and Saturday is like one of the best college basketball non-conference Saturdays in years. It's awesome. Saturday is awesome. And a Crosstown Shootout tomorrow night, it leads right into all of that. And I'd like to think that there's going to be a good environment at Dana's tomorrow night. I don't know though. We'll see. What do you think it should do, Brad? You asked the question. What do you think the answer is?
Yeah. I think I'd love to see him put a tab down. I guess, I'd love to see him do his own thing. I know that was Travis.
That's what I was going to say. You got to be unique, right? Like you got to do your own thing.
Right. But, I think it'd be fun. It'd be something involved with Dana's, I think, is a must. What that is, I'm not exactly sure, but hopefully he does something following a win.
That's right. We'll see. Keep tabs on it. We'll see. Anything else, Brad?
That's all I got tonight, Paul. Appreciate it, though.
Got you. Thanks for the call. All right, I'll keep going here a few more minutes if anybody wants to. If anybody wants to call in, I'm looking on YouTube right now to see if there are any questions, anything I missed. If anybody has a question on YouTube, I'll answer. I'm going through the comments right now. I was trying to see. There are some pretty good comments, no questions, but there are some pretty good comments on here. The live chat's kind of popping off right now, if I'm being honest with all of you. I'm not seeing any questions though that I don't think that we've hit on. I'm not seeing any calls here either on the spaces. So I guess to wrap things up, I think the biggest thing in my mind is, can Xavier take care of the basketball as well as they have taken care of the basketball so far this season? Xavier has taken care of the ball exceptionally well. One of the best teams in the country taking care of the basketball so far, 15th nationally in offensive turnover percentage. Just unbelievable how well they have taken care of the ball, and third in assist percentage. That means they're passing a lot and they're not turning it over. That has to happen again tomorrow. I think Cincinnati is a better Georgia. I know Georgia is 33rd on KenPom right now, and Cincinnati checks in at 72. But I think just in general, if you're looking at a comparison, I think Cincinnati is a better Georgia team. Georgia right now sitting at 8-1 on the season. If both teams were playing at their peak ability, that would be at least a decent comparison for me. I don't know if it's apples to apples, but if you haven't watched any of Cincinnati, it's maybe something you can think about, just the way that they try to disrupt things. Georgia's 51st in the country, 31st in the country in creating turnovers. They're really, really good defensive team. Their offense is actually outpacing their defense, but they're a pretty good defensive team with some size. So can Xavier take care of the ball right now? They have to take care of the basketball tomorrow night. They have to shoot well. You're going to need a guy like Jovan Milicevic to stretch the floor, bring that Cincinnati defense out to the perimeter, try to get somebody like Mustafa Cham uncomfortable. You don't want Mustafa Cham, Baba Miller, Sean Abayev, that front line, the interior for Cincinnati. You just don't want them to get comfortable. And if you're Cincinnati, that's exactly what you want. You want to work the ball inside. It's something they haven't been able to do a ton this season, but you want to work the ball inside. You want to try and do whatever you can to make sure that you're not letting this game turn into a three-point shooting contest, because if it is, you have to feel decent about Xavier's chances going into that one. So the other thing I'll say, off the court, it's an unbelievable broadcast crew tomorrow. I think this is the best broadcast crew in college basketball. I know that's a very subjective opinion, but I think Brian Anderson and Robbie Hummel. Robbie Hummel, to me, is the best analyst in the game, and Brian Anderson is right there at the top. He's a top-tier college basketball broadcaster. He is the best of the best. Lauren Jabbar on the sidelines. This is TNT. I think TNT has done a spectacular job covering the sport, studio shows, halftime shows, all of that. If you're not going to the shootout tomorrow, you are well prepared on TV. It'll be a fun broadcast to watch with just some top-tier on-air talent there. If there's anything else, I'll answer it. If not, Crosstown Shootout Friday night at 7:30. I do see a question from Chris. Who's officiating? I do not know. I have not gotten the officials yet. I will tweet that out as soon as I can tomorrow whenever I see the officials list. But I've not seen whoever is officiating tomorrow's game yet. But yeah, go ahead.
Was Robbie Hummel on the Purdue team that Tu Holloway just went nuts on to come back from a huge?
Yes. Robbie Hummel.
Okay.
Robbie Hummel was on that team.
All right.
Yeah.
House of Horrors for him, the Cintas.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, Cintas has not been kind to our guy Robbie Hummel. Yeah, no doubt.
Wasn't Robbie calling a game last year and Tu was there and they met up pregame because that was the first time they had talked about that game beforehand, or am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong. It was actually a couple years ago at TBT. Okay. Robbie was doing a TBT game, and I walked in right next to Tu, and Tu and Robbie kind of locked eyes real quick and realized, Robbie was walking out, Tu was walking in, and I remember the kind of the smile on Tu's face when he looked at Robbie, and he said, I couldn't sleep that night because I knew we had Robbie Hummel coming in here tomorrow, and the two of them going back and forth about how fun that game was. And obviously it wasn't very fun for Robbie Hummel in the end, but it was a whole lot of fun for Tu Holloway and the Xavier fans that were there. Yeah, no, Robbie was on that team, and Robbie's done a bunch of games at Cintas over the last couple of years, but yeah, that game where Tu was there, that was in the summer a couple years ago. Speaking of officials, is Brian O'Connell still working the Big East? I haven't seen Brian O'Connell too much this year. Maybe I just haven't been watching the right games, or maybe he hasn't stood out to me. But I haven't seen Brian O'Connell too much this year. I don't know where he's been. I can look real quick though, because I know everybody's.
I feel like he was in that player.
Was he at the play? I've seen him. I just can't remember where I've seen him.
I think he was in that.
Usually here I can pull. Oh yeah, here we go. Where is Robbie, or where is our man Brian O'Connell?
Otherwise known as Charge.
Yeah, where is he? There he is. He has done. He did the Georgetown. Oh, he just did the Georgetown game last night. So that answers you. He's done. Oh, he did Villanova 2 nights ago. I did not watch that game against Temple. He's done a ton of Big East games this year. St. John's, Villanova. He did. Oh yeah, he was at the Players Area. That's where I saw him. St. John's and Baylor. He did the St. John's, Baylor. He did both of the St. John's. I knew I saw him out in Vegas, but I couldn't remember anywhere else. He's done a bunch of St. John's games. So yeah, he's around. Done a bunch of bye games in the Big East. Kind of bounced around the East Coast. I'd expect to still see Brian O'Connell around this year, no doubt. He did Duke and Florida and Durham on Tuesday. God, that was a fun game. Isaiah Evans, Owens 0 for 7 going into that final shot. Knocks down a 3. Duke beats Florida. What a game that was. Now I'm just getting into rebound rundown mode. Getting sidetracked here from the Crosstown Shootout. I'm going to wrap this show up before I ramble any longer. Appreciate all of you listening here tonight for the last 70 plus minutes on this show. You all are great. Appreciate you calling in. Don't know what the content's going to look like through the rest of the weekend. It's going to kind of depend on timing, but this show will be replayed probably tomorrow on the Rebound Rundown. If anybody wants to go back and listen to any of this, all-time sports weekend coming up. So hop on your couch, watch all these games. If you're at Cintas tomorrow, Red Panda at halftime tomorrow. So you have
what?
That. Yep. Red Panda at halftime tomorrow. I guess I will say, I don't think I've said this anywhere on a podcast before, but honor of my lifetime, they asked me to throw the Bulls. So I'm feeling a lot of pressure for that.
Yes, let's go.
I will be throwing the Bulls to Red Panda tomorrow at halftime. I'm very nervous. I think I'm more nervous for that than I have ever been for a broadcast in my life. There's a duty placed to me to make sure that Red Panda is successful tomorrow at halftime. And I'll make sure I deliver in a big way. I'll do my small little part and deliver those Bulls to her. Glad to see Red Panda back on the circuit after she was hurt last year. Couldn't tour around, but she's back. Nothing's keeping her down. So she'll be doing halftime tomorrow at the Crosstown Shootout. Very excited for that. That's my notes. That covers broadcast time. That covers the crew. That covers the breakdown of the game. That covers the halftime show. There's not much else to talk about. It's time to play the game. Going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see a lot of you there. Tomorrow, 7:30, Crosstown Shootout. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you stay tuned to the Rebound Rundown. Plenty of coverage there. Subscribe to the Rebound Rundown on YouTube, podcast channels, all that. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Talk to you soon.